All right, so this is the 6th time that I'm recording this, but I really want this to work. I really want to teach you this because I've learned about the fastest way to deploy your app to the web using Dash Tools. Dash Tools is a library that Andrew created recently, and it automates a big portion of the process of deploying your app to the web using Heroku. So by the end of this tutorial, you will know I'm going to teach you how to deploy an app to the web with Dash Tools, so you can do this on your own within 2 to 3 minutes at the most. It's really exciting. It's really cool library that I want to show you right now. I'm going to show you how to do this with these 2 apps. This is an animal shelter app that I built, animal analysis shelter app that I built for the animal shelter in Dallas. And it shows them an analysis of all their cats and dogs and wildlife that is coming into their shelter and that's leaving their shelter. And then we have a Dash app that shows the average graffiti incidents over the last 7 years in Berlin and in different districts of the city of Berlin. So if this is your first time, I highly recommend you follow along by downloading these 2 apps and the CSV file and just seeing what I do and trying this out on your own because this will give you good practice. And when you're done with it, you can do your own apps. All right, so the link to this repo is under the video. Click on that. The link to this README is also under the video, so click on that. Have everything open, and let's get started and do this together. Let's go to the README right here. And the first thing you want to do is to install Dash Tools. So we're going to copy this. We're going to open our terminal. I'm going to use, let's close this app, close this. Terminal. I'm going to use a terminal inside PyCharm, but you can open your command prompt or Mac terminal and use it there. We're going to install Dash Tools. And I already have Dash Tools installed, but if you don't, it will install the latest version. I'm inside my folder where I have all my original apps. Then, if you don't have Git or Heroku CLI on your computer, click on these 2 links to install them because you need this before moving on to the next step. Now there are 2 examples. We're going to do both examples, example A and example B. Example A is for apps that have data that is incorporated into the app externally. What I mean by that is this animal shelter app has incorporated data from a URL. This is connecting to a CSV sheet that is located on my GitHub repository. So this is external data. It's not located and locally on my computer. It's a database, it's a GitHub, it's an API, it's a URL that exists online. So this we'll use for example A. Example B is best to use if you have a CSV or an Excel sheet locally on your computer. So that is the graffiti analysis. You can see here that we're making a pandas data frame from this CSV sheet that is located right here on my computer in the same folder, right? So let's do example A first, animal shelter. Let's go back to example A. Cool. So first we are going to create a new directory, my dash app. Let's copy this, go here, and create Dash Tools, in it my dash app. So now you can see that if you close and open this, we created this new sample directory that has most of the folders and files that you are going to need to deploy your app to the web. It creates most of them for you, including the sample app. Now, we created that. We want to open the sample app like this. If I'm Windows, I'm going to do that. Source. Let's just open it like that. And now you see this is a sample app. If you run it, let's see what we have. Just a regular app with a graph and a title. That's really it. Now, you could, from here, you could skip to bullet point 6 and deploy this app to the web. But you're probably not interested in deploying this app to the web. You probably want to deploy your own app to the web. So what you have to do is to go to the next step, step number 3. Replace the code in the app.py file with your own code. And make sure that you keep this line of code in there. So I'm going to copy this line of code. I'm going to put it inside right here, right under where I instantiate dash, right under this line of code. And this is my animal shelter. This is my original app. So I'm going to copy all of this now that it's ready. Control C and delete this and put that in there. So now the app.py file, which is inside the dash tools project directory, now this has my animal shelter code. So now that's in there. We got to make sure that everything is working properly. So let's cd into my dash app. Like open the terminal, cd, and now we're in there. And now let's run it. Python. Let's run the app to make sure that it works. Click on it. And you see that it is executed successfully. This app runs successfully on my local computer. And it's inside the project folder, my dash app. Perfect. So it works. We can close it. We can exit this app and go into step number 6, which is deploy the app. Click on that. Make sure that you're inside the project directory, right? Where you have your app. You have to be in there. And that's why we did cd my dash app. So once you're in the right place, we'll click deploy to Heroku. And now that you're deploying, you need a Git repository for deploying your app to the web. So we'll say yes, initiate Git for us. And now you can either create your own app name by typing whatever you want, or you can just click enter to generate an app name automatically. I'm going to click enter because I don't really care about the app name. But if you want to choose your own name, make sure that it's unique, that nobody around the world has that same name. So we did that. It also created a requirement.txt file. Requirement.txt file is open, is what is going to tell Heroku the libraries that Heroku needs to install on its server to successfully run your app. You can see dash, plotly, and pandas. And this is because your app actually uses dash, plotly, and pandas. So it knows what libraries you're supposed to be using, and it created that. And now we can go to the next step, which is press any key to log in. And now we have to log into Heroku. I think I'm already logged in. So that should work. Perfect. If you don't have an account, it will prompt you to open a Heroku account, log in, and then go back here. Please confirm creating an app on Heroku. So I'm going to say yes. Definitely want to create our app on Heroku. And now, name is too long. So this name was too long. So let's create, that's a good practice. Let's create another name. Maximum 30 characters. Deploy app to Heroku. We'll create an automatic name. This should be a shorter name. Good. I'll log in. Perfect. Now we can go back and confirm yes, we want to create this app name. That's good practice. Now you're going to see that it's going to push the app to Heroku, and it's going to, in other words, push this whole directory online to the Heroku server. The source, the app.py file, which is where we have our own app, the proc file, which communicates with the app.py. That's why make sure that you leave this as app.py. Don't change the name unless you know what you're doing. When you feel more comfortable, you understand what's happening in the back end, then you can start changing the name. But for now, just keep it as app.py file. And then it's also going to install all the libraries that we told it to install on the requirements.txt folder. It's going to install it on the server, and it's going to use Python 3.8.10. Try to, this is automatic, but I highly recommend not changing this because Heroku never, usually doesn't have the most recent version of Python. It has older versions of Python on their server. Great. So it's done and installed everything. Now if I click on this, this is our app name that was generated automatically. We should see our app online working successfully. And this took about 5-7 minutes, but I was explaining. So if you do this alone, you can actually do this in like 2 minutes. And what's cool about this app is that now it's a URL that you can share with your family, friends, boss, colleagues, and they can see it online. Great. Now, assume that you want to make changes. We have this title, Analytics Dashboard of Animal Shelter. Let's say we want to make a change the title in this case. So we'll go back to our app file, and we'll change the title from Analytics Dashboard of Dallas Animal Shelter. We'll just say Analytics App. We'll say that, Analytics App, so on and so on. So now that we save it, let's exit this here. And now we can go to step number 7. If you make changes to deploy, just click on this. So we're going to use that. We made some changes. It's going to update the requirements.txt file in case we need more libraries or we used additional libraries. It will update that here to tell Heroku what libraries to install. But you should always double check that you have the right libraries on this file. It's going to recognize that we updated one file, and it's going to push that file onto the Heroku server, as well as the other ones as well. And and that's it. So now we can wait just a couple of seconds. Always remember to save this line of code. When you create your own apps, you might forget to include this line of code into your own app because it's not always necessary, but it is necessary for apps that are uploaded to the web using Heroku. So make sure that your Heroku app has this line of code under the where you instantiate Dash. Okay, so that should have worked. Not sure it's completely done yet, but we try to refresh. Let's see if it's loaded. Great. Analytics app. So you see that we just made changes to our app, which is really, really cool because with one command line, only using this, you can update your app like that on the web. Okay, so let's move to example B. Example B, assuming your app is tied to a CSV sheet or an Excel sheet that's locally on your computer, just like the graffiti analysis app. Before we move on, I want to remind you that this channel is completely supported by members. So if you could spare a few bucks a month, a cup of coffee, or whatever you find it in your heart to support me on Patreon or on YouTube or on GitHub, I would be delighted and highly appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, so example B. We are going to create a new project folder, and we're going to call it Dash Tools. In it, my CSV app is the name of the project, and CSV is the template. Dash Tools has different templates. You can see here a list of all the templates. Example A used the default template, my Dash app default template. But example B will use the CSV template, right? That comes with a few additional files and folders and CSV. So we're going to go to example B and use the CSV template. So we'll copy. We have to exit my Dash apps. I don't want to be inside the original folder. I want to be inside the main directory where I have all my apps. And then I'm going to Dash Tools, create this CSV template, close it, open it, my CSV app and source. And here you have app, my proc file, very similar to the other template, but here we also have the data folder. And this data CSV, the sample CSV, is tied to this sample app. Whoops. Okay, let's go to step number 2. Now we want to replace the code in our app.py file with our own code from our own file. Remember, our app is going to be graffiti analysis, so we want to replace all of this sample app with the graffiti analysis app. But we have to make sure that we keep these lines of code. Even if in the future this README changes, try to keep these line of code. So we need to import pathlib because this is for reading the data. So we're going to take it from the app. We'll take this import and put it up here in our original app. And then line 13 is right here. So we're going to keep this one under the app.py, the dash instantiation. And then we have to keep these lines of code. This is going to tell Heroku where the CSV sheet is located in the data folder. So we'll put that actually right here, but we'll do that first. Go into the data folder, and the last line of code is this one. So instead of the 2014, we'll have to change this to our Berlin crime CSV, and we can erase this. So pause, just to make sure you have the right lines of code. You have 3 lines of code here telling Heroku to go into the data folder and pull the CSV file as a DF, as a pandas data frame, and don't forget to put this line of code. So now that we have everything, we can choose copy everything. Let's delete this. Copy the graffiti. I would recommend putting this on false because you don't want to have debug capabilities on a real app online. So just put this on false. Save it. Okay, so now that we have that, let's cd into my CSV app, which is the directory name. cd. Actually, I think we forgot. We skipped a stage. Stage number 3, replace a default CSV file. I forgot to do this twice before in the previous tutorials. So you can see that here we have the 2014 app stock, but this is a CSV file that was a sample file. We don't need that. We need the Berlin crimes.csv file. So let's replace that. Let's go into Berlin crimes, copy, and my CSV app, source, data, paste this here and take out the Apple stock because we don't need that. This was sample CSV. Perfect. So now we have the Berlin crimes. We cd'd into our directory. Always remember to do this. And now let's make sure that it works. Python source app, run it. Cross our fingers. Perfect. It works. We'll add more districts in Berlin. And you can see that we have more lines and that it works and that it's cool. Great. So now that we know that our app works inside the main project directory where we have all the files to deploy to the web, now we can exit this, Control C, and I think we can actually deploy it to the web. Number 6. Dash tools Heroku deploy. We'll go back. Git repository. Yes, I have to create Git repository because now I'm in this my CSV app, right? I'm in here. I'm in a different project folder, so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to, instead of generating an automatic app, let's create a unique name. Adam tutorial app. I don't know, 2783. Now you know when I was born. Create, perfect, that was unique. I'm creating the requirement.txt file. You can close this and open, and you'll see that this file now also includes Dash Bootstrap because the Graffiti app has, not this one, the original app has is using Bootstrap. So we're doing that. Now we'll log in to Heroku. Perfect. Now we can go back and now, yes, let's confirm we want to create the app on Heroku. Let's give it a minute and allow it to push all of these files, this folder, my CSV app, onto the Heroku servers. So it's going to download these libraries to the server. It's going to include the proc file. Again, I would highly recommend keep the app name app.py and keep the data in the CSV inside the data folder because you don't really know what's going on under the hood, so it's important you keep it. If you want to change the app name, you also need to change this here, but you can look at my other video that goes into detail of how to deploy your app to the web manually, and you can learn all about these files. Just click on the link above. Okay, so let's close our app. All right, so I deployed to Heroku, add a tutorial app 2783. I'm not sure it's going to be there yet. It usually takes a minute. Oh, it's there. Perfect. So now you see that it works. We have our app, and this is working. And what's cool about this, that it is on the web. It's a URL that I can share with my favorite family members and best friends and colleagues. So I have that app here, and now I can exit queue. And remember, you can update this app by going into number 7, and well, first of all, go into your app, make any changes you want to make, and then just update it because it's already on the Heroku server. Great. So I hope you learned a lot. You can also go into here to see additional examples of how to update your app on the web. Last couple of important sections to know. These are the list of templates that you can use. If you want to use these templates, you just do -tools init, whatever name you want, and then tabs if you're going to use a tab templates, or sidebar if you want to use a sidebar template. Really makes it a lot easier because it creates the whole framework for you if that's what you wish. And then just follow examples, the next steps in examples A, to update the template with your own app and then deploy it to the web. Now, there are going to be a few errors and mistakes that come up naturally. So this is a great place to read about troubleshooting and how to fix it. One thing I want to point out is when there's no web page displayed, like everything works successfully, it seemed like it worked, but when you click on the link, nothing happens. This is empty. Usually, this is the most common solutions. Either the libraries in the requirement.txt folder were missing. You didn't have the correct libraries, or didn't have enough libraries that your app actually uses, or you forgot to add this line of code to your app like we have here. If you forget to do it, then it's going to look as if it worked, but you won't see anything on the web page. If you don't find any solution, if you don't know what's going on, you can always do Heroku logs tail, and it will give you some of the logs to see if this works, of what might be going on in the back end. This is not very important right now because everything works, but if it doesn't, you'll see some clues of what's not working. You can copy it and just Google it and see what is a typical solution for this kind of problem. Great. As a reminder, this might change over time, but just follow the instructions, and I promise you that within a couple of times, you'll be able to upload your app to the web within like 2-3 minutes. Thank you for following along. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, YouTube, GitHub, you have the link under the video. Thank you for supporting me. And like always remember, we're better together, so help each other out. Until next time, bye-bye.